Galaxy Watch 7. Samsung Galaxy Watch 7. Some of the best designs Galaxy Watches, which I really enjoyed for the past couple of days, reviewing them as well as really putting them into a test when it comes to every aspect of it, the interconnectivity, as well as the aesthetic wise, the comfort level that I experienced, everything from a charging aspect to tracking my activities, as well as how well it was when it came to notifying me from any notifications that I received, whether it was calendar notifications to phone notifications, and whether if it's a good buy, especially because we are moving on from this generation and Samsung has the Ultra kind of looking very different. And yeah, should you still invest in it? These two specs are some of the highest ones in the market. All right, so just consider that as a disclaimer if you're comparing it with what you have been wearing or what you have. Just know that these are basically spec out, as they say, or limited edition. Not particularly limited edition, but what I'm trying to inference here is that they're some of the highest spec ones in the market. All right, both of them. This one is 40 millimeters, which will be more towards female favorite, as well as this one, which is 44 millimeter, which males would, I believe, start loving them and even going into higher millimeters, such as 46, if that's your taste. All right, so these both have currently the original band. These are not aftermarket bands. These are very well designed, and instead of having a little pin here that you can basically pull to one side in order to separate the band, they basically came up with the button function, which is just beautiful, and I think it's a very smart move. It doesn't pick on your skin if you're wondering, and the band overall has a really nice weight to it, almost like a silicone Apple Watch band, and it has these waves which sat comfortably on my hand. And again, I'm just a huge fan of the design, especially because you have attention to the details, such as this orange stitching going with this orange accent here on your right button, right top button, I should say, and something more neutral that kind of goes with the theme of this watch, but it's basically contrasting. All right, I love again the design of the band. I think the quality is perfect. It was very comfortable, and another thing we need to kind of talk about is how close this color approximation it is, from the jumping from the band to the side casing of the watch. I mean, this one is in matte silver or grayish, dark silver grayish, and I mean, again, it's not a huge jump, but you still have a little bit of contrast here with the band, and it very well basically blends in with this darker army green band that I loved. And the same thing can be said about the basically 44 millimeter, which we have here, and the again color contrast was exactly on point with something lighter, such as light blue and orange. Again, orange going with this accent that we got here, and the band having the waves and this beautiful buckle that also has this hole here, which you can tuck in the extra portion of your band. All right, so these are 20 millimeters, and you can either go with the medium large or small medium. All right, so again, as a reference, these both of them are some of the highest spec, meaning they not only have GPS as well as the LTE as well as the Sapphire crystal. So we're not talking about Gorilla Glass, and we're not talking about just the GPS model. All right, so that's pretty much aesthetic wise, and I will show you guys how it will look like on my wrist as a medium size male with these watches. I mean, they look pretty stunning, and I also wanted to mention that it was very basically thoughtful of Samsung to put such a design for the home screen, again following the color theme, the orange as well as the dark green. And this is how it looks like with the 44 millimeter on my wrist. All right, just as a reference. I would say both of them are fine, really. I would personally go with the 44, but the 40 millimeter was fine too. I'm a type of guy that normally goes with smaller watches on my wrist because I want to see a little bit of basically meat on each side of my hand after the watch seats, so a little portion or border on each side. But I would say 40 millimeter in this case was a little bit small for me. So I would have definitely gone with the 44 millimeter should I have to purchase one of these two watches. All right, so that's that. Let's go with the charger aspect of it. They're basically using the same exact technology as the previous model, Watch 4, Watch 5, Watch 6, as well as the Active 2 and Active 1, which all use a magnetic basically charging mechanism. It goes on the back and bada bing bada boom. I really like that they stick to it because it was enough. It does the job. And to me, the charging aspect was a little bit slow. However, to be fair, I was using the aftermarket charger, so I'm not sure if it was because of that or it is because they just charge up less faster than or slower than what I was expecting. I said less faster and then added slower. All right, for grammatical purposes, so nobody will come at me later on in the comments. All right, so I really love the sapphire crystal. That's something that I would get in all of my Garmin watches as well, because I love basically having a peace of mind that I don't have to worry about having a sapphire or Gorilla Glass crystal. Nothing like a sapphire will give me that peace of mind, and I think it's a must. And based on my experience dealing with a lot of watches over the past couple years, I think once you invest in them, you definitely are going to get your money back when you're selling your watch or when you are trying to trade your watch. So I would definitely encourage every user to purchase one with a sapphire crystal because I think it's worth your money. Again, I love not having a headache about the crystal being so fragile or so basically weak when it comes to daily activities and having a potential of getting some sort of scratches versus spending a little bit more in order to get these, and then I can say that hey, my watch is full spec and I can ask or demand for more. All right, so that's pretty much with the aesthetics. We talked about the charging, we talked about the cut band, the comfort of the band, the different sizes, 40 and 44 millimeters, and I think it's a good basically transitional topic to kind of talk about the watch, how it sits on your wrist, and how accurately it was tracking my steps, my heart rate, and other aspects of my daily usage. All right. So obviously, I haven't worn this watch today. It was for the past couple days that I worn it. And I absolutely loved it. I really loved how smooth the interface is in compared to especially Watch 4 and Watch 5. I think Watch 4 and Watch 5, again, if you haven't watched my YouTube video about Watch 4, please do so, and I will put a link in the description. But I think they really fixed the lag factor that I was experiencing with Watch 4 as well as Watch 5. I think this one was a huge jump and it really deserves its credit because it was much, much smoother and just going through different pages, checking your notifications, which is super easy on these by going on the opposite direction or swiping from left to right. You can easily get access to every notifications you have. And I love the fact that you have your notifications on the left, and then you can drop it down in order to go and get access to the setting. I really love this function. And so, yeah, when it comes to user interface, I really enjoyed it. I mean, again, nothing really new per se was integrated, or at least came into my usage that I can speak of. All right, in compared to Watch 4, Watch 5, but from what I could access, this was amazing. All right, very much satisfied, and again, I love the fact that this lagging aspect was not noticed in 2026 with these watches, both of them. All right, I'm referring to both of them. And another thing that I really am satisfied with these two is the battery life. All right. So I think they worked on it very hard. I think it's at a very reasonable place right now. It wasn't with Watch 4 and Watch 5 when I tested them. Yet to get my hands on Watch 6. But Watch 4, Watch 4 Classic, Watch 5 battery was really disappointing for a 2026 smartwatch. And yeah, I think it was definitely improved on these two, and I was very satisfied. You have some cool functions such as the basically the flashlight, which again is not very useful, but who knows, maybe it comes handy. I mostly was comparing and using it with my Apple Watch Ultra 2, as well as some of the Garmin products that I use on a daily basis, such as this Instinct. And I was very satisfied. I think the results and the data was close enough that I will give them a win, and I'll give them a satisfactory score. So if you're in a market for one because you want to really rely on the activity tracking aspect of it, definitely go for. And to be fair, I mean, when it comes to tracking, I really love the design in the back with the sensors too, so let's sneak that in too. But I would say this is a very reasonable watch to purchase if you're going for, because you have some of the more advanced stuff as well here, such as the ECG, and you can add more stuff to it. So it's not just heart rate, it's not just step count, it's not just some of the activity modes that you can choose from, but you have kind of access to some of the more advanced ones too. So yeah, definitely in terms of activity tracking, this will be a good device, or activity tracker. This will be a good device. All right. Lastly, let's talk about the notification aspect of it, how well it was functioning with my phone, and how I was doing with the apps and getting access to my contacts, and yada yada yada. So again, because the speed and the smoothness has been improved tremendously on these models, I really enjoyed using it. I mean, jumping from my gallery to my calendar, as well as the internet, in order to check the weather or like go to the app store, everything was smooth. And then when it came to notifications, again, there was no complaints, really. Really, there was nothing to complain about, and I will give it a solid score, okay? If you're using it for a smartwatch aspect of it and not so much as an activity tracker, I would definitely give it a go too. So, overall, huge fan of a design, overall, huge fan of a battery life, overall, huge fan of the activity tracking aspect of it. Even though it was, I would say, activity tracking part of it was very much average to medium levels. And then, yeah, I would say it was very average to medium level, and average to medium level, and yeah, definitely it's a buy. in 2026. And again, if you want to go with one, please go with the Sapphire edition. As for the LTE, I'm just gonna sneak it in as my last topic and kind of wrap this review up. I did not use it. I know there's a concept that you can purchase a different carrier on your watch and compared to what you have going on with your phone. I do not use such a feature, never used it, and I don't think I ever gonna need such a thing, even though both of these watches had that. Um, so I can't speak on that, but overall, everything was perfect. I really am satisfied with these, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to get my hands on Watch 8 and Ultra in order to provide you guys with a review as well. So, thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And until the next one, bye bye.